Hello and welcome to Warcraft Daily for today, the 24th of November 2013. So as always, it's a Sunday show and I'll be going through a whole bunch of just the recaps and stuff like that for the week. So in this week's news, we have the patch 5.4.2 store, the new mount and pet, the new female undead model, and some talk about the cloaks. Then I'll do a little bit of a roundup of this week's chats, stuff like no flying, the new talents, gems, that sort of thing, no Warcraft 4, and some stuff about the WoW movie, and then finally we'll round it off with the possibility of Karazhan being revamped. So first of all, the 5.4.2 store. Well, this is an in-game store that's in the client. It's, you know that little micro menu bar that you have? Basically, you click a button on that and a store UI pops up. And currently this only sells the 100% XP boost for 1 hour, and it's for a test currency. Now, this is probably only going to be a thing in Korea, at least initially. This stuff has been in testing in patch 5.4, and now it's there in 5.4.2. And hell, I don't even know if it's in Korea yet, but essentially there's a completely different business model over there with the way any online games work. So stuff like this is completely normal, acceptable, and it's not a subscription game. So that makes sense for them, and since it's all kind of one client anyway, and this is the thing that can only be accessed from using the PTR and then logging into a Korean server. So will this make it into the live EU-US game? I don't know. And they did say that they are fundamentally against the game being free to play. They said they're fundamentally against the idea of selling power or anything that really has an effect on stats or major gameplay at max level. So I think whatever, make up your own mind about it, because that's one shitstorm I don't want to stir up. Thank you, phone, for interrupting my show. Next, we have the new mount and pet. There's the Alteric Brew Pup and the Enchanted Fey Dragon. The Brew Pup costs $10, the Fey Dragon costs $25. You can buy them all together for $30, which saves you a little bit of money. $5, well, 50% of the Brew Pups, like the money that you pay for that, goes to the Child's Play charity. What that charity does is, or no, it's Make-A-Wish. It's one of those charities that's for sick kids and games and stuff like that. So yeah, it's a pretty good cause. You can see my opinions on these mounts fully by having a look at the channel. I had a video up yesterday about them. So yeah, overall I think they're pretty cool. Next, for the female model and the new cloaks. Well, they showed off a little bit of the female model, the female undead model. Now, this doesn't have any rigging or animation, so it's in its standard T position. And yeah, I mean, it looks better. I've never really liked the undead models. Honestly, it just doesn't appeal to me. So, I mean, yeah, it's higher fidelity. It seems to look rather similar in terms of style, so I guess people are going to be happy with it. Also, for cloaks, they were talking about just what they're doing for cloaks and the alpha of them. Now, cloaks are a bit of a weird thing in the game right now because they have a lot of issues. For example, they clip through tails, sometimes they clip through other bits of armor, and in general, they just don't look good, they look shit. Let's be honest, they don't flap in the wind convincingly or anything like that. So they did say that these are all things that they're going to be working on, and they showed a version of the cloak which has alpha applied to all the different layers, and the effect of this is they can control the transparency of different layers of the cloak. This means that they can kind of make it from a cloak into a cape and change the actual size of it in terms of they just fade out one of the layers that makes it longer, so that looks kind of cool. But I'm sure they can use that effect to do a few different interesting things. Overall, a step up in fidelity of the cloaks would be very nice. I think they're really immersion breaking when you're a Draenei or something and your cloak goes through your tail. It makes no sense. Anyway, this week's chat. So the biggest talk of the week was no flying. Now, y'all have heard me talk about this 1,000 times before, but I'll just sum it up really quickly. Essentially, the reason that they don't want to do flying at current level content is because it trivializes questing. The example is that if you're breaking into a fort and like stealing something or freeing a prisoner, that kind of thing. Well, you may as well not be breaking into a fort if you can just fly over it and dart right to the position. And they said that this will not have an effect of making questing or anything like that longer, because some tosspots will be going around saying, this is just a cynical attempt to make questing longer. Ugh. No, you're wrong. The questing is going to be shorter than it was in Pandaria. It's going to be shorter than it was in Cataclysm. They think that a better idea would be upping the amount of XP you get per quest to compensate for the fact it takes a little bit longer to travel around the place. That means that you get quests which are fun, in which the terrain around them has meaning, so you have a more fun gameplay experience and you quest up faster. And I think that's something that really makes everyone happy, so I'm personally completely for it. So yeah, there's that. Now, other things, there was a bit of an interview with Metzen. The main things to take out of this is that there's going to be no Warcraft 4. Well, not no Warcraft 4. It's not in the plans yet. So if it is going to come out, I'd say it's going to be at least 7 or 8 years. So, yeah, I mean, you better get into your survival bunker and wait until that game comes out, because it's going to be quite a long time. Next, he also was talking about the theme of the movie, and one of the major themes is the orcs and their blood. Now, the two main characters are Lothar and Druitan. And Druitan is the one orc who, while he was affected by all the corruption that was going around, hence Thrall being green, he didn't have the blood craze because he drank Manoroth's blood. He didn't drink Manoroth's blood. So, yeah, I think that'll be interesting. There seems to be, well, it seems like there's going to be a little bit more interplay between the orcs, and perhaps one of the subplots of the movie is Druitan kind of struggling with what's happened to his people. I think this could be really cool. I love how they're not making these stereotypical Lord of the Rings orcs that are one-dimensional. No, these are giant badass orcs that actually can think, and I think that's really good. Now, another bit of talk was with Ghostcrawler, and it was just about new talents and that kind of thing. Well, more than just new talents, just like the talents, the stat changes, all these different things that they're doing, and the way that sockets are being changed, tertiary stats, all that. And essentially, their biggest problem with the way things was, and of course reforging being removed as well, is that when you get a cool new piece of gear, first of all, you have to go and Task Mr. Robot or some web resource to see, well, how am I going to reforge this? Because for a lot of classes, actually for nearly everything, apart from, say, I don't know, a healer that's going for more spirit or something like that, there wasn't really any interesting gameplay there. It was just a whole bunch of hoops and money and expenditure that you had to jump through before you get to use your new piece of gear, and they think that from a gameplay perspective that really took away from the excitement of getting something new, and that's something I agree with. I think that's fair enough. So that's why they have removed the amount of different enchant slots, and then, well, not removed, they've lessened the amount of enchant slots, they've lessened the amount of sockets, but they've made it so that enchants and socketed gems and things like that will be more powerful. In general, the effect is gear should be more fun, and in order to facilitate this further, they've added in 2 new things. So first of all, Warforged is being kept. As we all know, it's just a similar sort of some bits of gear can be slightly higher in item level, that's fine. So that's Warforged. They also have changed sockets, so that sockets can be an additional bonus thing in gear that doesn't really cost any itemization points, so it's basically just a freebie that's nice. And then there's also tertiary stats, which can have cool things like cleave, or it takes no durability loss, or various things like that. And this is all just to make gear more interesting. In terms of the rarity of these 3 things, they are going to be very rare. So getting a piece of gear that has a tertiary stat, extra sockets, and is Warforged will be extremely rare. So that's, I suppose, one of the ways of balancing. It also means that as you keep on going through content, it's going, like, there's still a chance of getting something new and interesting in the form of a Warforged or a nice tertiary stat or something like that. Overall, kinda cool. Next up, Karazhan. So a new phase was added for Karazhan, and some people in the MMO Champion forum managed to data mine a little bit and grab some screenshots. And they've added a new phase, and what this does is it removes any of the cobwebs and some of the corpses and skeletons and that kind of thing, and I suppose this does suggest that we might see a revamped version of Karazhan. Some people have been saying Caverns of Time, some have been saying that it somehow is to do with how Garrosh will be escaping. Honestly, I don't really know, and I haven't really spent enough time to actually come up with a good speculation theory. If I do, there will be a video on it though. So, yeah, that's it. Now, to round off the show, I just want to mention that I will be getting back on the whole train of doing lore videos this week. The way it works, I kind of only have time to do those at the weekends because they take ages, so I do a few of them at once. And this being a lazy Sunday, I'll probably do that, and you'll get some nice lore next week. I'll be continuing with the Warlords, and I may do Karazhan. I'm just not decided yet. Anyway, that's it for today's Warcraft Daily. I hope you enjoyed the show. If you did, please like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time.